fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Why obsessing over the election and politics is the absolute worst use of your time and probably leading to unhappiness, anger, resentment, and all kinds of other things. Hey, everybody, Joe Simons, Like Diamonds, back again, Salt Strong Unchurched. We just finished up here with this midterm election. A lot of politics going on, a lot of politicians spending tons of money. It was, a new record has been broken on the amount of money they spend on advertising and text messages. I don't know how people keep getting my numbers on both sides of these different parties. The whole thing is wild. An absolute waste of your time. It is an absolute waste of your neighbor's time. Unless you happen to be a full-time politician, I honestly don't think you should pay any attention to it at all. And here's why. A couple of reasons. Number one, I read a fascinating book by Dr. Robert Cialdini, and was talking about just influence and how us as humans were so easily to be persuaded and so easily to get into a fight on social media about these small things that we think are so important right now, and in the big scheme of things, they're not. And here's one example. They went back over the last 100 years. So 100 years, you can do the math on how many different elections and midterm elections there have been. It's been a lot, right? Every single one, as in 100% of them, he found an article, at least one, if not maybe more, that, and this is in like a massive, like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, like a massive big publication. They went back 100 years in the files, and in 100% of the time, in every election and midterm election, the headline on the front page, somewhere on the front page of one of those massive magazines, or newspapers or periodicals, whatever, it actually said, this is the most important and or critical election ever in the history, right? We've literally been saying this for 100 years, and yet most of us don't even remember what happened 20 years ago. I'm sure none of us remember what happened 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago in terms of who was elected, especially on midterm stuff. Like, who really, really cares? I had an interesting chat with a friend, and this friend is someone who would stay up late at night on, election day just to see who won. And literally, like, it would determine the outcome of how happy this person would be the next day. And I ended up chatting with them, and like, man, I can't believe you didn't stay up, and like, you don't really seem to care about this. It's not going to affect your business. Like, oh, how's it going to affect my business? I'm going to wake up and keep doing what I always do. I'm going to love all my customers. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to keep listening to my employees, and I'm going to love on them. I don't really care who is winning or losing in this politician game. Aren't we called to continue to keep loving our customers? And on the personal side, right, not all of us have businesses, but my friend Alex Sharfin said it best. He says, regardless of who wins an election, I am committed to doing the following. I'm going to spend time with my wife and make our marriage even stronger. That sounds pretty good, right? Regardless of who wins an election, I'm going to help my daughters grow into amazing adult women. That sounds pretty awesome. I'm going to grow my business and make a massive contribution. I am going to orient towards the future and help create the change I want to see in the world and not rely on some politicians to do it. I'm going to spend time with people I care about and work on building stronger relationships. And I'm going to treat others with kindness and compassion, even and especially when they disagree with me. So what are you committed to doing regardless of what happens in this election or any election, right? And going back to the biblical side of things, I mean, a lot of what Jesus was fighting against was, essentially people in the church, if you will, the leaders in the religious side of things who were 100% politicians, right? It was all about politics and following these different rules. It was all man-made rules and politics. It was not God rules. And so much of we see in these politicians, it is not God. They're right. I mean, most of them are flat out lying through their teeth. They're taking money. I mean, there's the word dirty politicians is there for a reason. It is completely dirty. And to me, it's almost the opposite of what we should all be standing for is Christians. And at the end of the day, as I started off this conversation, I mean, we've all, for 100 years, we've all literally been sitting here every single election and midterm election saying, this is the most critical time ever. What happens here? And every single time, at least half the people are disappointed because their person lost. And yet we've all continued to still make it. The world is still going. We're all still alive. And end of the day, we, as you and me, you listen to this right now, we have the decision to make if we're going to love our neighbors as ourselves. We have the decision to make if we're going to build better relationships with the people around us. We have the decision to make if we're going to wake up happy and feeling motivated to do what we're called to do. We have the decision to make, not some politician or not some voting card, right? We get to wake up and decide how we are going to live our lives and the impact that we are going to make, not what someone else is going to do just because they were elected as an official. So I would challenge you, especially some of my dear friends. I'm not ever going to call people out because I know some of them listen to the podcast, but it pains me to see all of the arguing and the just resentment and the bitterness that happens, especially on social media. It happened right after the election. It happened prior to the election, this midterm election. And which is the reason I'm doing this. It kills me to see even literally friends and family members who are now hating each other and not talking and unfriending each other and literally just spewing out negative stuff from the past, like literally just slandering each other, all because they disagree about someone who won or their stance on someone who might have won or lost. All about politics. I'm telling you guys, Satan loves this. Satan is literally using politics and politicians to divide us more than ever before. This was not always the case. I mean, it's always been a little divisive, if you will. There's been waves of different people in power who have been a little bit more divisive and have not done the best job of uniting the United States of America, right? The irony there in that name. We are less united and more divided than ever before. And politics plays one of the biggest roles in there. And of course, news and the media is just piling it on. And it is almost like Satan is using this tool to divide us and to make us unhappy over stuff that, once again, in the big scheme of things, does not matter. And here's also how I know that. If you still aren't on board with me yet, there have been countless books written and countless studies now when they meet with people who are on their deathbed, people who are in hospice, people who are, dying of terminal illness, whatever it is, cancer, etc. And they ask them all these questions. They've been documenting this stuff forever. What is really important? What are there any regrets you have? Not once does politics come up. Not once. Like there's never been anyone on their deathbed who says, "Gosh, I wish I could just change the election results from 15, 16 years ago. Or gosh, really that one politician who made it into power, that one congresswoman or that one governor that made it into office really just ruined my life. And that's my one regret." No one even talked. It's the last thing on their mind. It all goes back to relationships. It all goes back to the decisions that they personally made, right? You have that choice. That's the whole point of this. Don't let your happiness or any even portion of your happiness or what you're even dwelling about and thinking about today or tomorrow, the next day, have anything to do with politicians. Who cares? It doesn't even matter. Right? Literally only you can decide if you're going to be happy or not. Only you can decide if you're going to get in a fight with someone on Facebook over something as dumb as politics, right? You can't change their mind. Why are you even messing with it? I don't know. It pains me. And I know the devil is just smiling down, laughing, and God and Jesus are sitting there just shaking their heads saying, "Oh, son, daughter, why are you going down this path. It's not even important. I'm calling you to do this over here. I'm calling you to spend more time with your spouse, to spend more time on your marriage, to spend more time in the relationships that matter, to spend more time with your kids, to call your kids up and tell them that you love them, to call your parents up and tell them that you love them, to call someone who you know is hurting right now, tell them that you love them, just check in on them versus spending time on social media and or other places to talk about politics. It flat out doesn't matter. I want to be clear. I'm not saying politics don't matter. I'm not saying that you shouldn't vote. I vote every year. I'm saying all that stuff is part of it. But it should never determine your happiness. It should never be something you obsess over. Start obsessing over your relationships in your body and what you're doing to make happiness and fulfillment in your life. To obsess about making an impact in this world. You personally, not someone that we see on TV or someone that we're electing. If we all did that, if we all just focused on the impact that we could make and obsessed over us becoming better versions of ourselves and obsessed over us working on our relationships, wow, think about what that would do overnight. No one even talk about politics. We all be so stinking happy. Man, it kills me seeing all the stuff that happened over the past really just couple of weeks with all the stuff on politics. Like I said, it matters, but then again, it doesn't. In the big scheme of things, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to be thinking about what happened in some race or some political campaign? Absolutely not. It is the last thing that's going to be on your mind. So why let it take over your thoughts right now? Guys, I love you. Hope this was helpful. Hope this hit the right person. It's just been on my mind to talk about it. I know it's not what God wants us to be talking about, debating. He wants us to be talking about him. Let's talk about Jesus. Let's debate the Bible, right? Let's talk about things that are, especially in our own lives and our relationships, that we can actually impact, right? Whoever's there, an elected official, we can't impact that at all until the next time that we even get a chance to vote. So why even spend any time on it? It literally is just going to make you miserable and probably end up hurting your relationships and your friendships. So I love his last one. This is my buddy Alex's points that he always brings up and prints off right before and after every election is, I'm going to spend time with my wife and making our marriage even stronger. I'm going to help my daughters grow into amazing adult women. He personally is a business owner. I'm going to grow my business and focus on making a massive contribution. I'm going to orient towards the future and create the change I want to see in the world without relying on politicians. And I'm going to spend time with the people I care about, and I'm going to work on building stronger relationships, and then to treat others with kindness and compassion, even if they disagree with me. So the big question is, what are you committed to doing regardless of any politics? Focus on yourself. Focus on making that phone call to parents, kids, an old friend that you know might be going through a tough time. Focus on making someone's day. If we all just did that, the world would be such a better place. Love you guys, and I will talk to you on the next episode. If you have any thoughts or questions on this, or if you think I'm just way off or way right, that is your opinion. Then let me know. Joe@saltstone.com is my email. I love hearing the emails from you guys every single week on what you thought of the episode. And I'm going to have my brother Luke. A lot of you have asked over the years, hey, how come Luke has never been on? I got Luke to commit, and at least verbally, that he is going to come on, and we'll probably just talk about, God and Jesus and really what that's done to our company in terms of putting God first and kind of taking a step back and saying, you know what, this is God's company, and we're gonna honor that. So we'll talk about that, and it might not be the next episode; it'll be one of the next couple. So definitely stay tuned for that. That'll be a great one, and I'm really excited about doing that with Luke. So I will chat with you guys on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul.